So, Micron. This is the image that they like to put out. 4 fabs, or fabs sound so fabulous, right? They're factories. These things are gigantic factories. Right now we're looking at the construction of 2 factories. These things are enormous, millions of square feet each. I think it's 11 football fields. What I'm going to focus on today is talking about the wastewater. Many aspects of environmental impacts of this manufacturing operation, but I want to focus mainly on the wastewater. This is a picture from Boise, Idaho. This is what we're looking at a few years, or maybe only 1 year from now, is massive construction. They've already taken out the trees. They're going to be putting in lots and lots of fill materials, leveling it, and these are all concrete plants. So I like being a chemist now. They turned me into a chemist, and what used to be an engineer. I like to put it in terms of what's going in and what's coming out. So we got silicon wafers that they purchase, lots of chemicals, and when I say lots of chemicals, we're looking at 100 to 200 tons per day, 365 days a year. So just let that sink in. 100 to 200 tons every day. Lots of water. I'm sure you've heard about the water consumption, something like what the city of Syracuse consumes, and lots of electricity. So if they build all 4 of these factories, they'll use the entire electrical output of both 9 Mile Point 1 and 2. That's how much electricity. What comes out? Well, of course, their product, wastewater. Most of the concern is about the wastewater. The Department of Commerce, back when it was in the Biden administration, said that the primary route of chemical pollution, in particular PFAS, is via the wastewater. So that's what we're going to concentrate on. And then there's all this other stuff. But let's move on. So I'm going to concentrate on PFAS, but just make you aware that it's not just PFAS. There's lots of chemicals. There's these perfluorinated gases that they use for heat transfer and other things. There's heavy metals, there's mercury, among other things, lots of solvents, acids, bases, the whole thing. Oh, and there's these very toxic gases, such as arsine. You get a whiff of arsine, and you're done. 25 parts per million. Boom. Very toxic. So this is the lay of the land. The kinds of things that we're concerned about is spills of chemicals polluting the groundwater, spills of chemicals getting into the local creeks, the Youngs Creek and Shaver Creek. That leads out to the Oneida River. And that's all I want to say about this. Let's get to the next thing, which gives you kind of the big picture. So, wastewater. The plan is that Micron itself is going to pre-treat their wastewater. Then they're going to send it over to Onondaga County. There's this oak orchard facility, which is about 2 miles to the west. Build a pipeline straight over there. The county is on track so far. They've bonded for $500 million to expand the existing plant, the municipal plant. So $500 million for that. And some of that is for the purpose of providing reclaimed water for Micron. And in addition to that, the plan is to build an industrial wastewater facility. Price tag for that, $1.5 to $2.5 billion. The county executive says Micron will pay for it. What are the details? Oh, I don't know. No one's saying, despite repeated questions. The treated wastewater will go back. Let's just
go back
up a little bit.
Sure.
my point here is that what's coming out of oak orchards, combination of municipal and industrial, and that gets put into the Oneida River. The Oneida River goes downstream and hits Lake Ontario. That's the ultimate recipient of the pollution. And that, of course, is where we get our drinking water. Okay, next thing here.
Sure.
So, simple diagram here. Let me walk you through this. So, what's coming, there's that pre-treatment step at the Micron campus. We don't know what that really is. That's a black box, okay? But they're going to reduce the pollutants that are in their wastewater with that step. Then they send it over to the county, where it goes into this industrial treatment process. 16.5 million gallons a day, that's what that stands for. Now, I got this off a diagram from the DEC, and it seems to have errors, but at least we got some ideas. Some of that will be cleaned up to the extent that it will go back to Micron. Micron uses a lot of water and has to be super clean. The rest of it goes out to the river and is combined with, this is the conventional sewage treatment plant, so a total of 30 million gallons a day coming out of this facility. But I want to call your attention to these brown boxes down at the bottom. So there's, at Micron, they're going to be generating industrial sludge. That will have PFAS in it. The industrial wastewater treatment system will kind of generate two kinds of sludge. That will have PFAS in it. And then there's these wastewater biosolids from the conventional sewage, may or may not have PFAS in it. Probably will. So we've got two issues in discharging, is that whatever doesn't get handled by the treatment system goes out into the river. And the PFAS, none of this treatment will destroy the PFAS. Let me get that message clearly, loud and clear to you. The PFAS will either go this way or that way. It will not be broken down. But so this is the picture that came right out of the DEC's permit, and this another lay of the land thing. But there's the price tags for you. The bottom thing is what the county's bonded for. The top thing, we don't know. That's in process as to how that's going to get paid for. But I do want to point out here, and I guess I can walk away around with this. See this reuse facility and this reuse facility? That is solely for the purpose of sending treated water back to Micron for reuse. So that's a great thing. They're going to reuse water. But it also is very expensive, as Lisa is going to tell you about. It involves some pretty fancy technology. Let's move on here. Okay, so the PFAS compounds, most of it is going to end up in the sludge because PFAS tends to bind to solids and surfaces. The rest of it is going to get discharged to the Oneida River. Some of it is going to end up going up into the air. Do we know how this is all going to break out? No, because Micron has not said anywhere in that 20,000 pages of EIS which specific kinds of PFAS they're going to use. They have not stated that. They just said generically we're going to use PFAS because we have to. Okay. So, kind of hard. So, PFAS is this giant breadbasket of compounds. These things were invented back in the 1940s. Part of the Manhattan Project, they used PFAS. And then commercial manufacturing got a hold of it. 3M, Scotchgard, heard of Scotchgard? That's PFAS. DuPont also making lots of PFAS. They use it to make Teflon, but it's in all of your blood. Everybody in this room has got PFAS in their blood. because it is so widespread. And it's not just semiconductors, it's fabrics, it's carpets, it's upholstery, it's firefighting foam, all these applications out there. So the regulators are behind, and I mean seriously behind in terms of regulating this stuff. So we've got 1,000 plus PFAS compounds that are used. Of that, we have an analytical method that measures how many? 40. This is what they're going to use to monitor the wastewater. Of that, that's 2. These are phased out legacy compounds. This is what is under the scope of the regulators. This is what they're saying, oh, you got to really pay attention to these 2 compounds because they're legacy compounds. They've been around for many years, and they're bad actors. There are drinking water standards for these things that are in parts per trillion, 4 parts per trillion. Not much. Tiny drop in many Olympic swimming pools. So the problem that we're facing with is we've got hundreds of compounds they're going to use. They're not saying what they are. It goes into their process. It gets transformed into another collection of PFAS. And then using the conventional methods of monitoring, we're just going to miss it. We don't even know what they are. Next. Are there any discharge standards? No. We can fault the Biden administration and the Trump administration for this lapse. And all the previous administrations. Okay, so there's simply, they have these categorical ways of regulating discharges by industry, and they've just simply said, we're going to wait. We don't know enough to regulate it. So, last revised, see the date, 1993. PFAS, many problems associated, many medical problems. So you see there's several kinds of cancer: kidney cancer, testicular cancer, damage to the liver, increased cholesterol levels, problems with thyroids. The ones that are in bold print are ones that we're quite certain of. And then there's the dashed lines, less certain, but lower birth rate, lots of impacts on the growing child, on fetuses, and on pregnant women. So a whole host of effects, which is why the drinking water standard is so low. And this is just my end slide that shows I'm part of this coalition. My main hat that I wear is with the Sierra Club over there, but we're in coalition with all these other folks, and it's called CNY. It's called Sustain CNY, as these 14 groups have banded together. So, let me just end with this note here, that the wastewater discharge is going to end up in Lake Ontario. How much PFAS does it take to contaminate all of Lake Ontario at that level? It says here, according to my figures, 6,500 liters, 1,700 gallons. That's right. 1,700 gallons of PFAS will contaminate the entire lake. Mixed. We're already, that's to get to 4 parts per trillion. We're already at 2. So, we can't, my position is they should not be adding any more.
Right.
So whatever treatment they put in here, nothing should come out. And the way the permit is situated, there are no limits. And Todd will tell you more about that.